Looks alright. There we go. Right. So what's new? How are you guys? How's the week been? We're back for third week in a row, right? So welcome to the third consecutive Tuesday tune-up. I am Jason and this is making you a bartending pro. So as I mess with the camera, let's see. What's been going on? Nothing new in my life really. I started back school, so shit's getting hectic again. And we're starting to come out of our summer busy season. So it's slowing down a little bit this week, after this weekend. Should kind of be back to normal. And then we'll start to kind of get into the wintertime routine, which is a little bit slower at my establishment, but that's fine with me, honestly, as I'm just busy. I got so much stuff going on between this and school and other fun projects that I'm working on. But stoked you guys all made it. Have any of you guys been going out looking for gigs? Has anybody found any jobs recently, or had any good, bad, or sideways experiences about anything? Or we don't even have to talk about bartending. I mean, we can talk about whatever you guys want. I'm here for you, so you let me know. Hey, we'll just go for it. All right. FireX Bomber. Phew, made it to the stream. So Gary wants to know, Mr. Gary Lee, do you have any tips on how to remember drink specs? Like a lot of drink specs at once. Like what's the drink ingredients, you mean? Is that what you're talking about, Gary? Or like specifications of how much you put in each drink? Because it's kind of the same remembering or memorization. If you know the drink, then you should know, how to make it, right? And then practice it a few times, and then you should have it down. Most common drinks always comes up. All right. Well, let's see here. Let's. I don't have an official list, but let's see if we can just kind of come up with one, since everybody always wants to know this one. Oh shit! Did I close it? Damn it! Nope. There we are. Yeah, kind of reframe that question, or rephrase that question, Mr. Gary Lee, and I'll try to answer that. But Phil Solera, most common drinks. All right, let me pull up a little sheet here so I can make a list, so I make sure I hit them all. So we got the martini, right? You got to have the classic martini. Along those lines, you should know how to do like Manhattans. You should know how to do the variants like, what's it called? Collins drinks. So like Tom Collins, all the Collins variations. You should know how to do Long Islands. You should know how to do margaritas. I'm making this list here, typing on my computer that I have right here. What else should we need? You should have some classics like Negroni. I don't know. I don't want to say that because, again, it's hard. It just depends on where you work. I mean, you could say classic drinks. You could say tiki drinks. So we'll just say classics. We'll say a couple of classic drinks, a couple of tiki drinks, and tiki drinks are like Mai Tais, Blue Hawaiians, Bahama Mama type things. But again, those are cool and they're fun to look at, but they're not that popular unless you work at like a beach bar or you have them on your drink menu at your establishment. And I just realized I'm wearing a white shirt, and one of the main rules when you're making videos and stuff is don't wear white or black. So, sorry if this is totally washing out in sections, but hey, we're already on here now. Pina coladas, yep, Gary said that's a good one. Let's see, what else should we throw on there? Let me try to, I'm trying to think. What was, drinks. Alright, I'm going back and forth. So we also need like mojito. I'm making this list, and then we'll go back and recap kind of each of these. And then like White Russian, Black Russian. Those are, you know, I kind of put those together. White or Black Russian. The mules, like Moscow mules. Moscow mule. Cosmo. How many do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's see if we can get a few more. Did we say old-fashioned? We did not say old-fashioned. Old-fashioned. What are some other staples? Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary's always fantastic. Here, let me go on one website, Esquire. Let's see what their top 10 most drinks at a bar, according to them. Classic Martini, Margarita, Manhattan, Moscow Mule, Scotch neat. So that I don't consider like pouring a shot or making a drink neat, which I'm going to do a video about that. Actually, that's on my just shoot list. But neat just means that you pour something in a cool little glass, like it's Snifter or something, with no ice, no garnish, nothing. Room temperature, just pour it in a glass. And you could maybe call that a shot, but usually shots are prepared to just be slammed, whereas like a neat drink, you're sipping quality scotch or quality bourbon or whatever their quality, whatever they want, and they're just kind of sipping on it. And then like 2-part self-explanatory drinks I'm not putting on this list, like gin and tonic, rum and coke, because those are just so straightforward that you don't need to like remember those. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I think those are so self-explanatory, you don't need to worry about them. Old-fashioned they have on here, and then it says like basic knowledge about beer and wine. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, fuck, we pretty much nailed it. And so let's put a little beer and wine knowledge, which that's coming. Those are coming. The basics of what is beer, what is wine. The beer ones, I have a couple of friends that have, I get a couple of buddies now that run, no, Esquire, I don't want any of your shit, go away. That run a couple of the, the sour drinks, those are pretty good too, Phil. Like whiskey sour and stuff. But that's kind of along like, I'm going to put that in the Collins sours. I don't want to say Rickies are kind of in that same one, you know, but still, we'll just put them in that same category. But I have some buddies a couple friends that run rad breweries, and I've been trying to get them tied down. They're same industry, same area. They're just insanely busy in the summertime, so it's really hard to do. But now that I have my like cool camera, I want to go up there and shoot, like go in behind the scenes, go into their brewery, like stick my head in the big containers where they're making the beer and stuff, and just do like a really cool all about beer video. And then for wine, my wife loves wine. She's quite a wine expert, and like we are members to a couple of wine, or I should say she's a member to a couple of like wineries up in Central California because she went to school up at Cal Poly. Anyway, trying to get her to do it, and she's just been dodging me. So one of these days I'll get her and I'll in here to do a wine FYI for you guys. So, oh, this is way easier having these questions. Now I can scroll back and make sure I hit all these. All right, so to sum up Mr. Phil Solera's, is that all right if I call you Phil? Most common drink list. All right, so we got, what do we got on here? Let's see, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You know, and we could probably take a couple of these out of here, but I'm going to give you this list, 14 if you count the beer and wine knowledge. And so write this down, or just go back and watch this after. Martinis, and that, like classic martinis, you can, if you wanted to expand that, you could throw like flavored martinis in there. Which, by the way, I have videos, I think, for every one of these except, well, I have videos that cover most of these. I don't have, my tiki drinks are all the old, it's on the Dive Bar drink recipe playlist, and same with some of the classics. So I'm gonna those are on the redo list because I want to like make those, do them a little more kind of modern. So anyway, martinis, Manhattans, the Collins, Sours, and Ricky family, Long Island's, the variation like Long Island iced tea, Long Beach iced tea, but they're basically just Long Island iced tea, and there's one, you know, thing that changes to get the other iced teas. So the Long Island's, margaritas, classic drinks, which you could maybe consider like old fashions and Negronis in that one, but we'll just say, you know, a couple of cool classics. And just when you're thinking of, okay, well, what classics, just think of ones that you've heard of. Just do a simple Google search for top 10 classic cocktails, or just go look at the ones that I have, and those are some of the most common ones. Tiki drinks, so those are like rum drinks, Mai Tais, you could even, throw pina colada in there, and blue Hawaiians and whatnot. Mojito, black and white Russian, which they're essentially the same drink. The only difference between a white Russian and a black Russian is the white Russian has cream in it. Moscow Mule, and there's a bunch of different variations of the mule, the only difference being the alcohol. Like Moscow Mule is vodka. You can do like, we have one that's called the Mexican Burro that we make. It's basically the same thing, but it's made with tequila. You can have like Kentucky Mules, which are made with like bourbon. And by the way, I realize I'm missing some bottles here. What the fuck? What's going on with that? I got some sticky fingers coming down my bar. Just noticed that in the camera that I'm missing some bottles back here. Where was I? Okay, so mules. So you can have like, you know, the basic mule, which a mule is essentially, you know, some limes. You have the liquor that you want to use, like vodka or whiskey or bourbon or tequila or whatever, and then ginger beer, little dash of bitters, and you know there's variations where sometimes they can put mint in there. Cosmopolitan, so the Cosmo, Old Fashioned, Bloody Mary, and then some basic beer and wine knowledge. So again, all the way through: martinis, Manhattans, Collins, Sour, Ricky family, Long Island's, margaritas, a couple classics, a couple tiki drinks, mojito, black and white Russian, Moscow Mule, Cosmopolitan, Old Fashioned, Bloody Mary, a couple beer, and a couple wine basics. And if you have that, you're going to be pretty damn well covered for the most common drinks out there. So finally, it only took 3 weeks for you guys to get me to put that list together, because I've been really wanting to not do that, because again, it'll still just depend on where you work. Alright, so let's see, what else do we got here? I need to memorize a lot of drink specs, like the ingredients, how many centiliters to pour, and the garnishes. So Gary, there's no magic trick to memorizing stuff. It's just kind of practice and repetition. It's start with this basic list, right, that I just rattled off. And then if you're already working somewhere, then focus around the drinks that are on your drink list and add these to it if they're not on there, or add these to it if you want to have a list to kind of work on. And then just make them a few times. I mean, there's kind of no rhyme or reason with the names for these things, so you just gotta kind of, you know, I never really practiced or not practiced. I never really like studied or I never really like studied drink knowledge. I mean, it just comes. The best way to memorize drinks and stuff is through repetition and just doing it over and over and over and over. And what I would say is to maybe focus on a few of these at a time and practice making them for a week. You know, get the ingredient, because if you don't have, like, if you're trying to make these at home or something and you want to go buy ingredients for all this stuff, it can be really expensive. But you can maybe group a couple of them together by ingredients and then buy just a few and then make them for a week and make them for friends or whatever and practice them and then taste them too, because you want to start to get what it should taste right. Because sometimes when you look at like recipes in like books or online or something, they're poured in terms of how sometimes it's like what the legal allotment is. Sometimes it's what owners or managers want to have in a drink. But, you know, depending on the glass that you're making it in, like if you don't have the exact glassware or if it's not completely full of ice or whatever, then sometimes the ratios change a little bit. So and that's where the kind of just repetition and practicing it and tasting it and getting used to how to make it taste good. And then that's kind of where your skills will come in as a bartender. So let's see here. Let's go back up. I think, do we have any? Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Gary. I mean, really, there's no magic way to remember all that stuff. You just got to kind of do it. I mean, depending on your learning style, I'm a real visual person and also kinesthetic. So just seeing all the ingredients out in my head, like laid out on the bar or on your counter at home or whatever, and then going through the motions of doing it is what helps me remember. Maybe you're more auditory, and so like say it out loud when you're making it or something. Or maybe it helps to write it down. I mean, pretty much anybody that if you write something down a couple of times, it's gonna stick. So just play with the different styles of learning. Like if you're trying something and it's not sticking, then look up different ways that you can try to learn something, because there's a few main learning styles, and just kind of see what might help you stick a little better for you, and then just gotta kind of keep at it, my man. And then don't get overwhelmed with trying to learn every fucking drink in the book. Start with this simple list that I just kind of rattled off earlier, and work from there. Okay. Let's see here. So, Fire X Bomber, he's been trying to get here for a few weeks and he kept missing. Stoked you made it. How do you deal with that customer that keeps getting one drink at a time, tipping zero? What we do, and this is not good customer service, but that's not good customer action either, is that basically we'll start to ignore them. I mean, we'll straight up, so like at my bar we have Taco Tuesday, which goes fucking Richter during the summertime or any of the holidays when any of the kids are in town from college. And they love our Taco Tuesday because our specials are just stupid cheap. I mean, you get like $2 draft beers and like, you know, you can basically come in, catch a buzz, get a full meal for like $10, you know, or less than $20 with the tip. And for around here, that's pretty ridiculous. And so the college kids will all come into town and they'll come in and especially late in the night, because kind of it'll turn into like more of a party where they're not really there to eat, they're just there hanging out and boozing it up. And they'll start to, you know, they'll go, let me get one Bud Light, and then they'll fucking close it out for a $2 Bud Light on their credit card. That's usually not even theirs, by the way, but I'm not even going to go into that. Anyway, they'll get like one drink, close it out. And so we finally, if this is like a one-off situation where one person's just kind of being stingy or lame, and then basically if somebody do it to me once, I'll let it slide. If you do it to me again, then I'm going to let you sit there with an empty drink for a long time before I come back and give you another round of service, and I'm going to make you act probably before I come see you. Now that's just bad you should never do that, right? But that's just kind of the reality and sort of that's the subtlety of the real world expression of how this stuff works. Now, when there's a bunch of them in there that are all doing this, what we ended up doing is that we had a policy in the moment. So we basically just print up little sheets that say $10 minimum on their credit card. And so what that does is either it makes them buy more than one fucking Bud Light at a time. So if they want to buy, 3 beers and 2 shots and a glass of wine, and then they want to close it out, fine. But we're not going to open and close it every damn time you want a $2 Bud Light. So we basically just had a policy that said $10 minimum on cards. And this alleviated, half of the close it out one-timers. It fixed that problem right away. And then the rest of them, it basically made them buy more shit. So it was a boost to sales at the same time. So that was one way that we solved that same kind of a problem in our own bar. And then in terms of just being cheap asses, because these kids they'll come in and it happens all the time. They're just that shift is notorious at our bar for being you're working your ass off for no money because it's so busy, but everything is so cheap that the tabs are tiny, so you're making like $0. And especially when these kids come in late and they're tipping you like nothing, or they'll tip you $1 on the first beer they get, and then the rest of the other 3 or 4 or 5 that they get throughout the night, they won't tip you. So if it gets real bad, then we get to know who they are, and then we'll talk amongst the crew like, hey, don't serve that little fucker, he doesn't tip us, and he won't leave his card open, or he doesn't play by the rules. So it's kind of you got to play it by ear, but that's sort of a way that you can remedy that situation. Okay, so let's see here. Wendy Pemrick, is it Wend or Wendy? Wend Pemrick, starting a new job tomorrow, training for 5 shifts. Any advice to get the most of my training time? Just ask questions. Wendy? Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Ask questions, pay attention, make sure that they tell you who the locals are. You want to get to know who like the good locals are in your establishment so that, I realize the camera's over here, sorry I've been looking at the wrong side the whole time. I want to look you guys in the eye. There we go, do it like that. Because you want to know who your best locals are so that you can make sure that you take care of them when they come in. I wonder if I can, let me see something. Will this? No, orientation is locked. Never mind. Ask a lot of questions. Ask to know who the locals are. I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, they should have a pretty well figured out training plan and routine, and you'll have a lot of questions as you go. Maybe report back next week on this thing and let us know how it goes, and if you had any stuff, because I'm sure it'll be not 5 shifts back to back. I'm sure that's going to be spread over the next 2 weeks, I would assume. But the biggest thing that I always try to do is show my people who are because this, it depends on your bar. Maybe you don't have a lot of locals. Like our place is so driven by the local business that it is dire, it's not dire, but it makes your assimilation into our bar much easier if you know who the locals are that have been coming there for 20 plus years and that know the owner and know everybody that works there, and they know that you're the new person. But if you can immediately go up to them and befriend them and get to know them, and then all of a sudden you're part of the family, because it's really your locals that kind of set the vibe of who is the local family, All right. Let's see here. All right, Ashley Mariquin. Sorry if I butcher your guys' names, by the way. I don't know why. I consider myself a fairly eloquent reader and writer, but when I'm looking at names on YouTube, I fuck them all up for some reason. So, Ashley, you're welcome. She says, thank you for making these videos. Man, thanks a lot. Gary, I think of printing off pictures of the drinks with specs next to them and putting them on my wall. Yeah, so I said this on, I think on the first live cast, Gary, about how, like, we just have our drink recipe or our like our drink menu right on the wall next to the bar. So next to our service well, which is generally where our new bartenders work and where you're just, tickets are spitting out, and if you're forgetting stuff, then it's right there on the wall. But you can make your own. Like, just print out or, go on, I don't know if you're technically savvy or whatever, but like Microsoft Word, just, do a little picture and the ingredients and then print it out and laminate it so you can take that thing with you. As for Gary, he was asking about memorizing drinks earlier. Right, Cat's M. Thanks, stoked that I'm helping you guys out. Dark Light, some drinks to the bar back. So Dark Light, 1482, bar back in. That away. That's next summer. Nice, sweet. It's the best way to do it. Start in a job as close to bartending as you can get. Get in there, show them your work ethic, show them that you're dedicated to the establishment, show them that your intentions are to be at that establishment and be an asset and move into another position, and they will reward you for it, definitely. And if they don't, then they're idiots and you probably don't want to work there anyway. Brett LeBlanc, what's up, brother? Wendy with an E. Okay, cool. Got it. Wendy. Firebomber, no problem, buddy. Worked at a place that's super happy hour like you're talking to. They ended up quitting, too much work, not enough money. Yeah. So, exactly, like, luckily, and there's a weird thing happened this summer where the kids kind of started going somewhere else. Just because, I'm sure you guys have all seen where places will kind of come and go in favor with the younger crowds. And basically, there's a high school that's close by us that those kids, when they get older to drinking age, our establishment is like their go-to meet-up drink place when they're in town from college or holidays. And but this summer it wasn't as crazy, which is good because we prefer just the regular adult customers. I mean, they're adults, but they're still 21-year-olds are a pain in the ass. There's another area in San Diego called Pacific Beach that is just basically all freshies, just if you're 25, you're old around there, and those bars do so much volume, but they're a terrible place to work. Like I know a few guys that have worked down there, and it's like this extreme love-hate. They love it because they're making so much money, but they hate it because it's just these little snot-nosed kids that don't know how to tip. Because there's, San Diego's a rad place to live, but there's a lot of money here, and money's cool, but at the same time, it makes a lot of people assholes. So anyway, sorry, I don't want to go into a diatribe about that. All right, so I feel your pain, Firebomber. You gotta find that, and if you're working somewhere and it's not working, don't be afraid to get the hell out of there and go find something that does work. Just because you got one place doesn't mean you have to stay there forever. All right, Misfortune. Question. Best way to cut someone off who is a local and I'm the new bartender. Sounds simple, but becoming a problem. Now, actually, I find it's easier to cut people off when you're the new bartender because they don't know you. You don't know them. If you've already established that they're like long-term locals and they know that, or you know that, they know that you know that they're locals and they kind of get away with whatever they want, then, I mean, technically, fuck it. It doesn't matter. Your job is to not overserve people. It doesn't matter how much of a loyal local that person is. If they get too drunk and they drive home and smash and kill somebody and you're the last one that served them, that could be on you. So it's not worth it. I don't care. Like, I've been doing this so long that I've become so apathetic to like the greedy working you over alcoholism tactics, and really all that is just that guy's just like people like that are just major problem drinkers, and they're, you know, have other issues in their life, and basically it'll come out in some weird way towards you because you're trying to tell them they can't drink anymore. And we overserve people a lot in my bar, and we still just, sometimes you got to tell people like, hey man, and the easiest thing is to try to preface it before you do it. If I know I'm going to cut somebody off and they're kind of just drinking aggressively, local or not, I don't care who the fuck they are, if I see it coming down the line like I'm going to have to cut this guy or this girl off, the one that I give them before I cut them off, I just say, hey, this is the last one I can give you for a while. You got to kind of slow your roll a bit. And usually they're cool. 99 out of 100 times, maybe not that much, but 19 out of 20 times, most people are like, yeah, they're conscious about it. But if you like serve somebody and you don't say anything, and then the next time they try to order a drink and you go like, sorry, I can't give you anymore, it's a lot more difficult. So if you can see the cutoff coming, give them a warning, the drink before you cut them off. Does that make sense? And then if that's not working, or if you're still uncomfortable with it, then go to your managers, go to your owners, go as high as you can and say, hey, look, this guy is absolutely bombed. I'm just trying to look out for our best interest in our liquor license, because that's really what you're doing. You don't want it to come back on you because that person got super wasted, but it can also come back to the establishment, and they can have strikes on their liquor license. But we're gonna have a lawyer to talk about that. But anyway, go to the owners, go to the managers, and say like, hey, we gotta cut. And then if the manager says, don't worry about it, keep serving them, then it's not on you anymore. Then it's on them, right? Or if the owner says, then hey, whatever, that's drunk Dane, then he just give him whatever he wants, then fine, then keep fucking serving him. But it's on them. It's no longer on us. So that's what I would do, and that's what I say. Wendy, let's see, hotel bar. So travelers mostly. Sorry, Wendy, I forgot what your question was. About starting. So, all right, you won't have a whole lot of major locals. So I don't know. You'll have questions that'll come to you as you're getting trained. Don't be afraid to ask them. Don't be afraid. I would say for you, just don't be afraid to look like you don't know anything, because if this is your first bar job, you don't know anything. And you know some stuff, but you don't know what you don't know yet. So don't be afraid to not know what you don't know yet. And don't be afraid to ask questions. I'm trying to, let's see here. All right. La-dee-da-dee-da-dee-da. Did you guys do anything fun for the holiday? I was working. It was so busy. Oh my God, it's been so hot and nice out in Southern California, which might sound cliche. Isn't it always nice? No, it's not. But it's been really hot and nice and sunny. Because when you're on the beach, like in San Diego, like a lot of times if the water is a little bit cold, there's this fog layer that kind of hangs out and can kind of put a damper on things. If you just go inland a little bit, then it's always sunny all the time. But where we are actually right on the beach, sometimes it's not like that. So, but anyway, it's been really nice, and we've just been getting absolutely murdered this week, which has been great, Daddy needs a new surfboard. Let's see. I go on tangents. Remember, you guys got to pull me back sometimes. Thanks for printing out pictures. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. Phil, thanks for the info. God bless. Hey, you're welcome, Phil. Mr. Soler, thank you, sir. So fortunate. It's a very difficult, obnoxious local, and I'm the new chick situation. Does not tip. Well, fuck that guy then. Just don't worry about it. Ignore him. That's one person. Unless he has influence on the bar, then I would just be indifferent, right? Don't be an asshole to him, but don't go out of your way to, say be buddy with him. Just serve him, and And when he gets to that point where you need to cut him off, then go ask the manager. And if the manager says keep serving them, then fine, just keep fucking serving them. All right. How many times have you heard, "What's your strongest drink?" I don't know. I don't know if I get that one a lot. It's more so, hey, make it strong. Right? Everybody wants you to just, hey man, make that strong for me. They don't usually blow me a kiss. I don't know why I did that. But we overpour our drinks as it is. If someone complains, like here let me tell you this. We get more complaints about our drinks being too strong than, like, by 2 or 3 times than the complaints we get about drinks not being strong enough. So that gives you an indication of how we pour our drinks. It's just rocket fuel, it's kerosene. So when somebody complains about our drinks aren't strong enough or there's no alcohol in there, I just laugh. And those are the type of people that are at home pouring triples for themselves and want to come to a bar and pay for a single and have you pour it the same way. It's just like, I just can't. There's no way, man. Can't do it. Sorry. Yeah, you're welcome, Wendy. Thank you. So, Mother Turtle, what would you recommend doing to get into bartending? So I got a bunch of videos about these. Even though it says Mother Turtle, it kind of looks like a dude in the picture. I can't tell. So, Mother Turtle, I would say go watch the Getting the Job series that I have. And the one that is associated with it, it says Getting Started in 48 Hours. And it'll tell you how to get started into bartending. It'll tell you how to get going if you have no experience. And then it'll kind of walk you through how to create a plan of how to identify places that you can go out and attack, how to attack them, how to follow up, and then when you're getting the callbacks, how to get callbacks, what to go in and say and do in the interview to get the job. So go look at all my playlists that I have. Go look at the Getting the Job stuff, and those will basically answer, because that's a really take me a long time to answer that question, but go watch those. And then the other thing I'll say, recommend to get into bartending, and again I talk about this in that series, is be willing to start in another position. It's going to be when you're brand new, and bartending schools love to sell a line of bullshit to all of us that says that you don't need experience to get into a bar, which is true sometimes. However, most bartenders that have got their started in other positions. So be willing to start in any position that they're willing to give you in that establishment, and then start working there. Because once you're in there, if you can show them that you are a good worker and that you're dedicated to the establishment, then it's just a matter of being the squeaky wheel. And then once you get in there, just don't bug the shit out of them, but just let the managers, all of the managers, as well as high as you can go on the food chain, go to the owner if you can, and let them make sure that, number one, they know who you are, right, and create a relationship with them. And this sounds ridiculous because you're going to be working there, but still, if some people are kind of shy, it can take a while to build this relationship, but just be outgoing and let them know your intentions. Go watch those videos first, because it'll give you a lot of important stuff to say and do before, so that you'll know how to kind of position yourself in terms of having some knowledge on the front end. But don't have such a modern day mentality of like, I want it now. Like sometimes you just gotta kind of work up into it. But I also have there's a video that shows you how to get started doing private parties, which is something that you can start doing like literally this next weekend and start working even if you have no experience or knowledge. So go watch those videos. That'll help you out a lot. Austin Wilson. Austin, I have a friend, I have a buddy, an old coworker named Austin Wilms, and I thought that was him for a second. I was about to give a shout out to. Anyway, Austin Wilson wants to know how do I deal with a shitty manager who micromanages and doesn't know how to bartend? She's the GM but has never bartended. Oh man, that's the worst. Shitty managers are the absolute worst. This is where you just got to play the game. I mean, you can't do anything other than know what her pet peeves are, know what her corrections are that she tells you over and over, and make sure that you do them whenever she's around. Then, try to get on her good side. Try to pretend like she's not this bitch that you hate and that you are actually attracted to her. Not like you really, but just kind of have that positive attitude towards her, and it will start to change your relationship. The best way to have someone who's not being nice be nice is to be nice to them, usually. And that'll either piss them off and they'll go away, or they'll start to relax and then they'll kind of come around. It's the old, you get what you put out there kind of a thing. So with those types of people that are real confrontational, if you're confrontational back, a lot of times that's what they want, and they'll feed off of that, and then it'll just make it worse. So just be nice and smile. Deal with their, whatever their bullshit is that they want you to do, just fucking do it. And when she's not looking, if something's completely wrong, then that's kind of hard because it's the GM. I would try to find a delicate way to show her, maybe not in the moment, maybe like after the shift, like after everything's, you're closing up, like show her on the phone, like, hey, I understand what you're saying, but, this, I've always done because of this, and show her some sort of a reference or a resource that shows that maybe she's not completely correct. But yeah, it's just kind of it's just one of those things where you could, if it's busy too, it's like, hey, we need your help, come back here. If she seems like she thinks that she knows what she's doing, but, walk the walk if you're going to talk the talk, as they say. All right. But Marcia, I'm going to totally fuck your name up. Jurgen? I don't know. That's all I'm going to... Working another job at night, trying to get into bartending, keeping this job. Is it possible? Yeah, of course. I mean, shit, I got my bartending gig, I got this YouTube gig, I got school gig, and I'm married, which is like a whole nother gig on top of that. So if you want to see if you have enough time, look at your schedule in your day and realistically write down everything you do for a week. And this is like old time management tricks that I suck really bad at. I'm terrible at time management. I am notorious for taking 7 hours to finish 2 hours of schoolwork and like these videos and shit. That's why I wish I was more of just a machine on getting these out for you guys. I'm sorry, but it's my fucking ADD, man. I get distracted so bad. So anyway, yeah, just try to look where you can fit it in and look for some part-time stuff. Just start part-time. And it's, usually easier to find a part-time bartending gig versus, it's usually depending, but you can find places that only need somebody 2 or 3 days a week versus like 4 or 5. So look for something part-time that you can move into that establishment. And then the second part of Bamarcia, do looks matter in bartending? I see it most job vacancy to send photo with resume. Now, I don't know where you are, but technically, at least in California, it's illegal to ask for someone's photo. You can recommend, or there's like magic wordsmithing. You can say like, send your blah blah blah, your stuff, your resume, and all that stuff. Pictures are optional, right? You're not explicitly asking for pictures because, I don't know, depending on where you are. Some states in the U.S., it's illegal to ask because that's a form of discrimination. In the U.S., we're very uptight about discriminating on people for various reasons, and looks being one of them. Now, sometimes establishments are allowed to discriminate if there is a specific reason, like the job itself is... Sorry, I'm noticing my phone is going to die, so I'm going to try to text the lady real quick. Can you bring me a charger, please? So, my phone. Sometimes, Marcia, they're not allowed to ask for pictures and stuff. So, obviously, if they're asking for a picture, whether they're allowed to or not, then they care what you look like. So, and I can't tell you, I mean, you look like a normal dude to me, but depending on the establishment, maybe a lot of times, the other thing is when that happens, they're looking for girls. They just want women. And what I was going to say is that some places are allowed to do that, like if it's Hooters, or this place called Tilted Kilt. There's the lady, she's bringing me a charger so we don't die.
No, that's allowed.
Thanks, babe.
You're welcome.
Everybody wants to know when you come do the wine video with us.
Whenever you give me more than 3 hours notice.
Oh, come on. All right.
Give me 1 day notice. I think that's a fair request.
Okay.
And then I'll have a glorious thing planned with all the information they'll ever want.
All right, there you go. You guys heard it. You guys heard it. So we'll get it done for you. All right. Thank you, babe.
Only if I'm allowed to drink wine while doing the video.
Oh, you're only allowed to make it while drinking wine.
Okay.
So, only allowed to make wine videos whilst drinking wine. All right. So, sorry. I don't know if I can't see what my power is, but we're plugged in, so hopefully the phone doesn't die. All right, well, Marcia, so looks, yeah, it's one of those tricky things that some places, like if it's a Hooters or something, they're allowed to do that. But the other truth of life is that statistically, and this is easy to see, that better looking, whatever that means, people have more opportunities for jobs, for preferential treatment when they're in establishments. I mean, all kinds of things. It's just one of those shitty things that most humans are just, it's one of those, I don't know, it's like, just kind of not like stereotypical, just shallow, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, some places I get it. Like if you have a bunch of hot chicks working behind the bar, you can have people coming into your establishment just for that reason. I mean, that's the whole concept behind Hooters, which I don't know if you're familiar with Hooters. It's like a U.S. Food and restaurant chain that has the girls dressed up in these tiny little tight spandex outfits, and they tend to hire little small curvy large boob Barbie doll type girls. So I mean, I understand why places will prefer that, but just the simple matter is that it's sometimes it's not right, it's not legal, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. If you're worried about it in the places that you're going into, I mean, there's highly unlikely that it's going to be an issue everywhere you go. Alright, sorry, so that was a kind of long-winded answer there. My prior job, so Wendy wants to know, my prior job had metered spouts, but no spouts on any of the bar back tips and pouring without spout. Wait, sorry, sometimes these are tips. Okay, so no spots on any of the bar back tips. On pouring without a spout quickly and accurately without spillage. So I have that how to pour alcohol video, Wendy. It's in the Bartending 101 playlist. I think it's the first video in there, how to pour alcohol. Just go into my channel and search how to pour alcohol. I got a whole video about how to do that, how to free pour. And it's an important skill set. And the other thing that's real easy is to just learn what the amounts look like in the glassware in your establishment when it's full of ice. Does that make sense? So like, let me see, I don't have like a, so like let's say I just have this little plastic cup, but like if this thing was full of ice, let's pretend like this was like a proper old-fashioned glass or whatever, and it was full of ice, and I knew that an ounce and a half or 2 ounces or so was like right in the middle of this glass. Instead of trying to use a jigger or count specifically, you can just visually look and pour until that point, and then you can stop, and then you put your rest of your mixers or whatever you need into. So that's generally how I do a lot of my pouring, especially if I'm talking to customers. Like if I'm making a bunch of drinks and I'm carrying on conversations while I'm pouring and shit, because the way our bar is set up, like there's people right on the other side of the rail of where I'm making drinks, then I'm not counting necessarily. I'm just seeing where up to the line of to where the point in the glass where I know the proper pour is supposed to be. Does that make sense? So just another practice thing. You definitely want to be able to pour accurately with like a proper like speed pour spout. So go get some of these. You can go to the bartendingblueprint.com, my blog site, and I have a couple links. I think it says like bar supplies up on the top right navigation, and underneath that there should be a link to get some of these. So get some like proper, metal, steel, whatever, aluminum, not plastic pour spouts, and just practice pouring with water at home. So go watch that video, it'll help you out. Jaden, yeah, free pour versus jiggers. It's always better to, you should know how to free pour as a bartender, absolutely. So same thing, go watch that video, Jaden, if that's what you're asking, or I don't know if you're kind of answering Wendy's question, free pour versus jiggers. It's jiggers if you have to, or if you're, the only time I really use a jigger is if I'm pouring really expensive shit. Like we have some tequilas that are, we have some really, really, really nice expensive, $150 a shot tequilas. And so if you fuck that up, then, your pour cost is going to be way off. So I'll use those in that instance, especially because I'm putting them in like a fancy snifter glass, and you kind of know where it is, but I just want to be accurate with that. But you should know how to free pour, and you should know how to free pour with the various jigger pour spouts that you'll have at your establishment. Hopefully your bar is together and they have one type of pour spout. However, if it's like most bars, you might have a couple. Like we have some of those metal ones, we have some of the cheap plastic ones, we have some really cheap plastic ones. So that's why it helps to just know, like to just look on the glass. Selena Shadowmore, I plan on starting as a runner barback. Yeah, food runner, expo, barback, anything you can get in there, then you're stoked. Yeah, Firebomber's replying, so if you guys reply back and forth to each other, that's cool. I free pour in general and bring out the jigger for cheap, bastard. It doesn't tip. Ah! See, that's funny. Firebomber does the exact opposite. He uses the jigger for the cheap guy. There you go. That's the other way to do it. Is just make sure it's very accurate and the cheap motherfucker doesn't get an extra drop. I didn't think that you would have such a playlist, Mother Turtle. Yeah, I got a bunch of playlists. So you guys make sure you go on, look at all my playlists. There's all kinds of good stuff in there. Okay, so you guys are answering each other. Selena wants to know, what's the biggest thing you wish you knew about bartending that you didn't know before you started? Oh, man. The late nights, how late the late nights can be, and how much I really am not a really super late night person, maybe number one. Or just how the other things are things that are kind of tough. Like I would try to sit down and have a conversation with myself about handling drunk people, because again, as I was saying earlier, the way that we pour our drinks, we are a favorite for a lot of the local varsity drinkers, I will say. So dealing with drunk people and just also not being afraid to not know shit. Right, the whole like, what do I if I don't know a drink kind of a thing you kind of freak out about, but knowing that it's completely doesn't matter and it's not a big deal if you don't know and you have to ask somebody or go around the corner and Google it, like it fucking doesn't matter. People don't care. So that would probably be. Also, I would tell myself the type of establishments that I like to work in, which are not nightclubs because they're so damn late, and they're not fine dining just because that's not my kind of personality. I can't really be myself in that environment. So that would probably be the other thing. So think about it beyond, I would say, think about it beyond just making money. Think about it why you're getting into it beyond money. Think about what you want to get out of it, and then that'll kind of help direct you. Or maybe this is just about money, which at first that's fine, but I'm telling you that it'll at some point it'll kind of turn a corner and be about something else. So try to find what that kind of other thing is, and then that'll kind of help direct you to the types of places that you want to be at. Okay. Yeah, and definitely like bar back is great because you're as close to the bar without being a bartender as you can get. Oh, Celine's only 18. Well, you can move to Texas. I know you can be a bartender at 18 in Texas. There's probably some openings in Houston. Oh, too soon? Hey, now I got friends that live out there, so I love them, and they're doing all right. They're it was ugly, but they're coming around. My buddy actually, So my wife's sister, her boyfriend, they just got new jobs and they're moving to Houston. And he literally was driving to Houston as the storm was like coming on shore and just shit was hitting the fan. And he's like got his place set up and he tried to go into his new apartment that he had, which was out of the flood zone, but he needed to like he had nothing in his house, like absolutely nothing. No chairs, no TV, just like empty carpet, and that was it. And so he was like bringing all this shit in, and he wanted to like have something to eat, something to drink. All the restaurants were closed. He ended up going to, I think it was like a Kroger's or some sort of a very bad connection. All right, so sorry if I'm cutting out here on you guys right now. It's telling me that. Let me know. Let's see what's going on here. Let me know if you guys can still hear me, because it's telling me that I have a terrible connection, which I don't know why. Maybe it's my computer. And I'm sweating because it's so hot. Let's take a beer. I'm going to type this. See the stream. It's saying I have a bad connection. Okay, sweet. Alright, well, whatever, my phone's... So anyway, back to the Houston story. Then I'll get back to your guys' questions and stuff. Holy shit, it's already 8 o'clock. God damn. Alright, we'll go a little bit longer. Make sure I get all you guys' questions answered. So stick around. If you have a question on there, I'll make sure I get to it. So in Houston, so I'll make this short. Basically, we went to a Kroger. The whole place, he sent me a picture of him standing in the aisle, and everything was, there was nothing there. He said he was going in and trying to find mac and cheese and wine, which I'd figure those would be some of the first things to be gone. Mac and cheese was gone, but there was a ton of wine. So if you're ever in like a disaster zone and you're just like, fuck it, I just want to get hammered and wait it out, go to a grocery store, go to the wine, because there'll be a shitload of wine. And if you don't like wine, get a little bit of information. You should know a little bit about wine, so you should, especially if you're going to be a bartender, figure out which ones you kind of like a little bit. Okay, sorry. So, oh shit, I said that. Now I realize there's like a whole fuckload of questions down here. I'll try to get through them. Let's see here. Alright, Wendy. Yeah, pour accurately with a spout. I don't have spouts in the barback on barback bottles. Oh, so I get what you're saying, Wendy. You don't have pour spouts. Go buy your own, Wendy. I would just go to the store and buy your own and bring them with you, which might seem weird, but it'll help be accurate. And maybe that's not possible, and in which case you just have to use a jigger, or you can do the same thing. I mean, you can free pour a bottle into a glass with ice. You just have to be careful so you don't just like, dump a glass full of half the bottle into the glass. It's legal. Yeah. So there's a few states. If you're, I don't know how chomping at the bit you are to get into bartending, but I know there's a couple of states. Dark Light 1482 says New Jersey. You can also pour when you're 18. Joe, what's up, Joe Martra? Oh man, loyal viewer there. Going to throw in a question throughout your. How much would you say you've made the most in one night in tips? I think my record is around $600, like $625 maybe. And then I've had. It's more just like consistent. I've had a bunch of like $400 and $500 nights, and our good nights average through the summer around $300, right? And then in the wintertime, our nights average around $200, and that can range. You can have a random $400 or $500 night. But yeah, I think my record is like $650. I think that's right. I don't know if because I've worked parties where I've made a lot of money, and then there's like you get tipped after the party. So I think if I included the party tips, I've had $700 or $800 nights. But those for me are pretty rare. I know that in my establishment, the record still stands. For one bartender's take home, and this wasn't, this was the whole team made a shitload, but the way that it overlapped, anyway, he ended up taking home, I think it was like $800, which is huge, and just ridiculous numbers, but that kind of skews the reality of what it really kind of is. I'd say that most of the time, at a decent place, you want to try to find a place where you're making at least $100 a shift or per night, and then the good shifts you can make 2 or 3, right? And if you can do that, then you're at a pretty decent, average to decent bar. Okay. So Jennifer Quintero, if you don't have professional experience, but I've been studying recipes, practicing, basically learning anything I can about bartending, how can I show an employer that I can do the job? You just got to get in there and show them. Grab them by the ear, drag them over the bar, and make them watch. Talk to the managers and the owners, let them know your intention, and then just build a relationship with them. And if you're not working at a place yet, then you need to get that figured out first, in which case just take any job you can to get in there and then move up into it. And once you're in there, then it's just a matter of time if you do the right things before you'll be able to get promoted. What do you find the most helpful in terms of getting larger tips, Selena? Knowing your locals, right? Treating your locals good. And then, and this is just for, there's a bunch of different ways to do this. Like if you're working in a fine dining place, or really, most places, the answer to that is bigger tabs. So bigger tab equals more tip. And if you're talking about just like drinks over the bar, like dollar exchange, then your locals, knowing your locals, where you can and when it's appropriate without abusing buying people drinks, right? So using your house tab. Again, I have a video a couple years ago, but still very, very relevant about how to buy drinks for people. Like they call it starting house tabs. So go watch that one. That's a great way. Okay, so I realize I'm a little bit behind here. Thanks for great tips. Also, you recommend tips training or other alcohol training, carding, managing. So yeah, Wendy, the best one are like the tips. I'm actually waiting for the next tips training to come around to San Diego, and I'm going to try to go to that and then be able to offer it on the Bartending Blueprint website, so you guys will be able to go actually get tips trained through my site. And tips is just one of the there's a couple of them out there, and the best one is through your state's liquor control, so alcohol beverage control board, whatever that is in your state. Look it up, and they usually will do trainings. Those are the best ones. Those are going to be the most respected ones by the owners and managers of establishments generally. Tips is a general one that is okay and works fine. So, and as much as you can do of that, the better. All right. Because the bar back in Dallas is confused. There might tell they don't know if the tenders want me to make. If you're a bar back and you want to know if you should make drinks, ask them. And if they say yes, then jump in there. And if you keep kicking ass, then they'll start tipping you out really well and eventually make you a bartender. Local bars and infused told me, your face is plain but okay, but here too overweight for what we want our servers. Oh, that's shitty. See, if somebody tells you that, then fuck them, Selena, and you don't want to work there anyway. That's just lame. The bar is tiny, so it's very difficult to get out of the way when they're building drinks. Yeah, our bar is tight. So I say fuck it and make drinks. Yeah, if you, hopefully, just the other thing, Kate Ice, is if you're making drinks over and over and over and they're not tipping out for it, then it eventually, hopefully you have the rapport with them. You can, have just real conversations and be like, hey, so are you guys going to tip me out for if I'm going to help make drinks for you? Because if you're not, then I'm not going to keep making drinks. So I don't know what your relationship is with your coworkers, so be careful with that. But I mean, when we have barbacks that tip them out, when we have barbacks that make drinks, we tip them out appropriately. So yeah, and like Darklight said in 1492, like some places it's not appropriate to make drinks, and sometimes it's not legal or allowed. But if you can, then talk to your bartenders, talk to your managers, and it's good practice. Okay, let's see here. I skipped a few up here. Wait, maybe I didn't. Okay. Yeah, you got it, Joe. No problem. I got fired for not IDing a mystery shopper, Andrew. You're lucky. You're lucky it wasn't an undercover cop. So count that as a blessing. Count that as a learning lesson right there, my friend. Although that kind of sucks because, like, if it's a mystery shopper that's old, like if they're, mature, I don't card everybody. And then see, there's places that, like, it sounds like you work at a place that has they have a strict policy of you have to ID everybody, which, isn't that uncommon, but they're like, you have to ID everybody. I don't care if it's a grandma. Check everyone's ID. And usually those are places that have had a strike or two against their liquor license, and so they're worried about losing it. Movie theater bar, so that's a unique type of a place. Dark, like they can't tell, maybe, so they got to check everybody's ID. But that's pretty shitty. I mean, was the mystery shopper young? Because if they were young, then like I can kind of understand why they got mad at you. But if the person was like old, if they were like visibly at least 40 or older, then fuck them. That's not that cool. Yeah, and that's just one of those things you can't really do it. I mean, but you're lucky it wasn't undercover, because you get arrested when you serve an undercover, and that is a much shittier deal than just getting fired. Trust me. Yeah, he looked in his late 20s. Well, I don't know, man. You just got to kind of wear that one on the chin and realize that if you work at a place that's the policy, then you just got to stick to it. And you just got unlucky. That sucks. Sometimes we just get unlucky, and there's not a whole lot we can do about it. All right, guys. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up there. if there's any last questions, throw them out, and I'll try to take care of it. I'll finish this beer, right? Which I can finish this pretty quick. Hopefully this Tuesday's been working for you guys. Hopefully the Friday releases are convenient for everybody. It seemed like it got a good view count on the first 24 hours in that last episode. So this is working so far for me, and as long as you guys keep showing up, then we'll try to keep doing these. All right, you guys. Let's see, Gary Lee in the UK. Of the ID, anyone that looks 125. Yeah, that's pretty common. Cool. Thanks for showing up, you guys. Spread the word. Bring your friends next time. Let's turn it into a party, and or whatever. We'll just show up and talk shop about whatever. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jason. This has been making you a bartending pro. I'll see you guys Friday, and then for the new episode, and then next Tuesday for the next live cast. Have a good week. See you guys.